Welcome back to Nose for the Ball. I'm your host, Nose, and this is Rookie Watch. We're going to get right into it. It's the end of the Chris Hargrove era on this channel. For the Jets, of course, it's just getting started. But we're going to head into the offseason and find our next rookie to watch. Sorry, I couldn't come up with another word. Just going to get right into it. We've got a lot to go through. Looking at retirements, it seems like there are a ton. I don't know if there's usually this many or if it's just that I'm really familiar with all these guys. I've got everything that matters on auto for the Jets, of course. I do just want to see who they're going to be losing. JFM isn't interested in coming back. Neither is Double Drew. To be honest, I don't think he's worth that much. And then after that, it's just the kicker who was really good, the punter who knows, a tackle that I hated, Ocean Zimmernes who was really good, like overperformed, but regressed a lot. Here is mock draft 3. It's the last one that I'm going to show. I just want to show off some of the players without going through everybody's scouting page. They get way too accurate with the last one, and even the third I think is fairly accurate. Colin Crocker is the #1 player on the projected board. He is showing round 1 talent. He was top 5 before, so I'm guessing he's just tied with somebody in the top 5. Unfortunately, I have to admit I'm not ecstatic about this class. We'll look closer at it in a minute. We're at the end of free agency. The Jets still have 120 million in cap. They should have just kept Drew and JFM for whatever it costs to keep them. It's kind of dumb. They only signed one player, and it's a not very good tight end. I wish I could force free agency to make more sense. Unfortunately, the modding community has not gone after Madden 23 just because without the next gen stuff, there's not enough, and they've just focused on making the 22 stuff better. I think I heard a rumbling that Madden 24 on PC will get the next gen stuff, and that will entice the modding community to make the jump. I do think kind of a 2-year cadence makes sense for that anyways. Not commenting on too much here, but the Cowboys went out and signed both J.K. Dobbins and Derrick Henry. That doesn't make any sense. JFM goes to the 49ers. He kind of played his way into being one of my favorite defensive players for this Jets team just because he was so good out of nowhere. I think in real life, a guy like that who found his legs in New York would want to stay in New York, especially in that part of his career, but not up to me. Andrew Drew moves on to the Dolphins. I guess now that I think of it, when McDaniel went to Miami, he didn't use Gesicki all that much. Part of that is they had a ton of good wide receivers. I think before the Tyreek trade, they were planning to use him more, and then that kind of went out the window. But maybe it makes sense for Drew to leave a McDaniel-led team. We obviously didn't use him all that much, although honestly, I tried to a lot more early in the season, and it just didn't go that well. Enough of all that. It's time for the draft. Now, Madden doesn't show you the overalls anymore when you draft, which I think is a good thing, but not going to be great for this format. Instead, what I'm going to do as a tackle goes #1 overall is I'm going to show what I have for the scouting. Unfortunately, that will be incomplete for a lot of players as we get a corner going #2, Deron Brown. I do have him fully scouted. He was a top 5 guy, only round 1 talent. Very athletic, good man corner. Needs to work on his press though, and he's not much in zone. Not really a great tackler either. Nothing really stands out besides the athleticism. Now the Rams at #3, and they're going to take Marcus Reddick, a free safety out of Auburn. I'm really interested in this guy, almost purely because he's a top 10 safety. He is only 5'9", good enough speed, not a super athlete. And unfortunately, the skills don't really seem to pan out here, so I'm not sure what we're going to see from him. Niners at #4 overall, they're going to take a defensive lineman. That's not a surprise from them. 6'6", he's a power rusher. Good athlete, not an amazing one. Unfortunately, this is the first of the guys that I don't really have that scouted. With the old system, it was really easy to save, edit, and be able to fully scout guys, which I would have done for this video. But I'm not sure if that's possible in this new era. Now here's Colin Crocker, the #1 player in terms of projected. He's physical, he's big, 6'4". He's got that elite jumping. He's an okay athlete. Clearly that's not what he's going to be winning with. But this is a guy I could see being fun to do a rookie watch on, depending on where the ratings come in. But he's going to be a possession catch point guy, not really a lot of run after the catch in his game. The Dolphins are taking a corner who's a very different player from Crocker. He's fast, extremely agile, and jumps like he doesn't have knees. Really strong for a corner too, which is interesting. Not really sure why he's stuck at 75% scouting. I had like 4 different CB scouts for this draft. Looks like a good zone corner. Not at all a man corner, but decent in the run game. The Raiders will take Jabari Harrison, who is the second top 5 wide receiver in this draft, if I'm remembering correctly. He has the playmaker archetype. He is pretty agile, but doesn't really have that top end speed. He is shifty, not going to drop the easy balls, but he won't catch the really difficult ones. Pretty good route runner, but he's not going to beat you deep either. For a player like that, I think he's going to fall a little short in terms of top end speed. Cardinals take a tackle, and then it'll be the third top 5 receiver. I think he actually dropped lower into the top 10. Fastest of the 3. He's certainly fast, but if you had Al Davis look at the modern NFL, this guy would not be the guy. F injury, F stamina. I feel like I've seen a lot of F stamina already. Honestly, just feels really similar to Jabari Harrison. Here's yet another corner. It's Alan Morant. Good size man-to-man corner. I think his intangibles are maybe the best that we've seen of the corners drafted so far. However, that athleticism holds back his ceiling a little bit. Eric Lamb, a defensive tackle, goes to the Broncos. 308 pounds, only 6'2". Might be the strongest guy in the draft, but he moves about as well as you'd expect a guy with 300 pounds on a 6'2" frame to move. If he can get to the ball carrier, he's going to make a really good tackle, but we don't know a whole lot else about him. Green Bay Packers take a lineman, which means that he'll be a perennial Pro Bowler. Terrain Blade sounds like a piece of farming equipment. Looks like he could be good with some development. Once I get to the lower projected guys here, I'm not going to spend as long on their profiles here. Jason Creighton, yet another guy in this very corner-heavy class. Man corner is just all over the place here. It's wild. Browns take a right tackle. We don't really care. Colts will take Adrian Wiley. He's a 6'5" power rusher. Love the size. Not a particularly good athlete, but not a bad one. Giants take a tight end. Jeremiah Edwards will get to throw to Casey Manning. I was really interested in this guy. Just under 4.5 speed, fastest tight end in the draft. You look at the ratings over on the left, he's got 4 elites, great jumping as well. Unfortunately, wasn't really scouting tight ends throughout the year. I think I did have him in for an individual workout, but he's only up to 50%. We don't have a whole lot here. A lot of ranges on the upper side though, so that could be promising. We'll see. Ravens are on the board next. They're going to take a running back, Isaiah Henley, first one today. I want to say the third overall on the projected board. He is the first elusive back, though. Extremely fast for a running back. 4.4 speed is great. Looks like good agility as well. We'll see about everything else. The other 2 running backs ahead of him were receiving backs, which I agree, I don't think should actually go as high. Jaquelin Winslow here, middle linebacker. Looks like he's quite athletic. This is going to be somebody to watch out for. Middle linebacker going high is always interesting, I think, at least in real life. I'm really unsure about his intangibles, though. Again, sorry if I'm going through these screens kind of fast. There's a whole lot of players to get through. Feel free to pause. Another very big power rusher in Raekwon Banks goes to the Bengals. He looks like a pretty well-balanced player. The Bears take an Ohio State safety in Jose Dominguez. He's billed as a run stopper and very much looks like it. He is really athletic, but on the intangibles, play rec, pursuit, tackle are all the good ones. The coverage does not look great. Terry French will be the next running back to go. He's fast with really good acceleration. I really think that the average draft prospect running back in Madden is too fast. I don't know what it is in real life, but I feel like it's usually more the 4.5 range. Anyways, good vision for him. He looks like kind of one cut back. Ronnie Ward was just out of the first round projected. I do not have his numbers. Eric Brooks here is going to go to the Steelers. The ratings say he's a really good athlete. Doesn't seem that good compared to the other guy we looked at. Not much more information on him. The Bills took a safety, which I know was need of theirs. Maybe this guy can slow down Hargrove. Pretty good athlete. Looks like he's good in man coverage. Jermaine Williams was one of those 2 receiving backs I was talking about. Only 5'9". A lot of burst, but not top end speed. Not going to run through anybody. I can't see taking a guy like that in the first, especially, didn't the Cowboys just sign 2 really highly rated running backs? What are you doing? We're going to have a little bit of a run on offensive line. Devontae McDowell, who I don't have, I think he was a second rounder. Chauncey Davidson as well. Obviously, we're getting towards the end of the first round here. And then the Lions take Tyler Truman, presumably to replace Gabe Davis. Of course, even with Amon-Ra out, their receiver room seemed fine, and this is like the slowest receiver prospect I've ever seen. I would not take this guy ever. The Jets take Brandon Florence. I think this is a BPA pick. He was pretty high on the board. Certainly looks like a good run defender. The coverage skills maybe need work. Kind of depends where that zone coverage comes out to, honestly. That's the end of the first round. From here, we're just going to sim the rest. And that number one left tackle is a 71 overall. Rough break. Highest rated player is a wide receiver taken in the middle of the second round at a 78 overall. Also highly rated, another receiver in the second round, plus two of the top five guys. Sergio Sheard, normal dev. Great athlete, great hands, great short route running, not very good medium route, unusable on the deep ball. He's got the slot archetype, and that is most definitely what these ratings say. Also decent playmaker. We'll see if he gets the chance to develop in Philadelphia. Not somebody I have interest in playing for Rookie Watch, though. Second best overall is going to be Eric Lamb, the defensive tackle. He does have hidden dev. 92 strength. I wish I could toggle off the coaching boost and whatnot, but whatever. 80 power moves, which is a really, really good starting point. Decent run defender, although I'd like the block shedding to be better. Jabari Harrison also has normal dev. I've been worried about this since halfway through the season, and I think this is just not a very good draft class. Another guy for whom running straight down the field is very difficult for some reason. Yes, I know that deep route running is like a real thing, but not really in Madden. In Madden, they just run straight down the field. I really wish they didn't have to resort this every single time. Thank you, EA. Really making me appreciate the little things in everybody else's games. Casey Manning at a 76. He's only 6'2", which I don't love. Obviously, the athleticism is awesome. I'm not sure what's normal for a tight end, but the route running seems very low, and the catching seems just okay. Seems to me the kind of guy that a user could not quite break the game with, but do really big things with. But he's really not well-rounded at the position. Another second-round receiver at 75 overall. He's big at 6'4", 230. He can jump, he can run, he can catch. He can kind of run routes if you don't want him to run them very far. Seems like the Packers pretty much got Colin Crocker at 44 instead of number 5 overall. Speaking of Colin Crocker, here he is, also hidden dev. Similar size, a little more well-rounded, 2 higher on deep threat, 1 higher on slot. Hair kind of looks like it's made of charcoal. I don't know. He's got an interesting skill set. Boost the route running, and he's probably the best receiver in the class. The athleticism is a lot better than I thought it was, but the route running hurts, honestly. 95 jumping right out of the gate is awesome, 93 spec catch as well. Better than I expected with the ball in his hands. My problem with a guy like Crocker, he's only 75 overall. Yes, he's going to be good, he's interesting, but we're going to see better wide receivers in other draft classes. Then we've got Josh Divins, a zone corner, college teammates with Eric Gray, that defensive tackle. Honestly, mostly just an athlete. He's decent zone coverage, but horrific in man. Really just an athlete. I'll be honest, I got a little burned out on looking at like every single player. So I started sorting just by individual ratings, looking for anyone who was really particularly good at one thing. Did find Joshua Felton, a 6th round pick for the Steelers. We know they're really good at finding wide receivers late. Sure enough, hidden dev and super athletic. I did bounce around a little bit while I was recording and realized I forgot to look at Reddick. Don't feel the need to edit and move stuff around, really. We're just going to look at a bunch of different players. Pretty disappointing, only 73 overall for a guy who was put really high. The tackling in particular is quite disappointing. Back to sorting by individual attributes. I didn't look too closely, but there are a couple of first-round safeties that were like one back in terms of best acceleration. Eric Lamb, indeed the strongest player in the class, tied with an offensive lineman and a run stopper. Jabari Harrison all the way up at the top in ball carrier vision. Lots of good change of direction. I don't really know what's normal, but I figure at any of these athletic positions, it's going to be good. There's a quarterback in there, which is interesting. 92 juke move for this receiving back. He looks like he'd be fun, but he's also buried behind J.K. Dobbins and Derrick Henry, and he's got normal dev. Kind of like I said before, I really don't know what I'm looking for here. I don't know what the thresholds are for what's considered like normal and what has to be not a generational guy, but whatever they call it, where it like breaks the template and it's a special, they've got 99 jumping or something would definitely be one. 95 for Crocker, of course, is very good. Martin Wagner has 99 throw power. He was a first round projection, fell into the second to the Commanders. Big dude, big arm, but this guy cannot hit the broadside of a barn. And he's really got nothing else to work with. I know I'm scrolling too fast through this to effectively really see. Eric Lamb, best tackler in the class. That's kind of interesting. I feel like that would be a thing for a linebacker, not a defensive tackle. Maybe a defensive end. I don't know. Also has the best power moves. He's popping up quite a bit. Nobody else in this class had better than a 77 in finesse or power move, which is interesting. And then he's second here for pursuit as well. He's coming up a lot. And then for the coverage ratings, nobody at a 80, not even close for either man or zone coverage, which I think an 80 is really high. But for all these corner prospects, none of them being up there is underwhelming to me, honestly. Maybe I need to recalibrate my expectations. I don't really know the generation system that well at all, honestly. It's completely a feel thing for me. So what I did after this is I backed out. I went back into a previous save and went and edited the draft class. I didn't actually change anything, but when you go to edit a player, it will show you ranges for each attribute: poor, average, good, or elite. I think it's funny that that's a different setup with the ranges than for the athletic numbers that you get on the draft profiles. However, this system actually predates that. So when I did that, I was looking for guys who were either elite or exceeded those ranges. What I found, Jaquil Winslow is extremely athletic for middle linebacker, elite or even over elite in some of those categories. Great tackler as well. But you think about a guy that athletic, you want to use him as a good coverage guy. Well, he's got 64 zone coverage, and a lot of those intangible ratings were average or even poor for a couple of them. I don't remember which. And here's the other problem. You look at the Texans roster, they're a 3-4 team. They've already got two really young players, one of whom is already on a new deal, the top guy. But both of them are basically just better versions of Winslow already. They're equally or more athletic, and they actually have pass coverage ratings. One of them is normal. This guy is a superstar. I thought about changing the scheme to a 4-3, just because that's the only way that taking a linebacker really makes sense here at like 19 overall. But even then, it wouldn't make sense for him to be a sub-package linebacker. So he'd still only be in on 4-3, which when I run defense, the nickel is my base. So it just didn't make sense. However, and because I'm talking, maybe you can see where I'm going, Eric Lamb was another guy who looked great compared to those draft prospect ranges. He was great or elite in a ton of categories, only average in a couple. But the thing is, he's also buried behind a really good player in Matt Murray, who's like a total run stopper guy. Note the scheme fit here's for the Jets. This guy is a scheme fit for the Broncos. So it doesn't really make sense for him to be supplanted. Thought about changing this team to a 4-3, but it didn't really fit the rest of what they had going on with the roster. So I looked around a little bit at the rest of what they had going on. I'm just kind of talking over what I recorded earlier, so I'm not sure how well this will line up. But at left end, they had a bridge player in Logan Hall, not particularly good, not really going to be getting any better. And the scheme there calls for a power rusher, so it might not be the best fit for size and athleticism for Eric Lamb, but I think it makes the most sense. Murray is like the exact same size as him, and less athletic, more of a run stopper, and he's got a big contract, so he's not going anywhere. If the CPU had a plan when they drafted Lamb to the Broncos, which I assure you they didn't, it was going to be to move him to left end. And that is what we're going to do. I spent a long time going through guys here. I know defensive tackle may not be the sexiest pick, but part of my thinking here is we weren't going to get a great prospect at any position here. I'm really bad at the alphabet, apparently. Nathaniel Hackett is still here, even though he didn't even make it through a full season in real life. Anyways, defensive tackle is probably not going to be a huge highlight reel. If I'm wrong and it's super fun, great, we'll have lots to see. If not, we get through the year pretty quick. Hopefully have some more interesting guys to choose from next year and move this universe along. I don't really think that Lamb is a particularly amazing defensive tackle prospect, but I do think we're not likely to see much better than him. Of course, we are moving him to left end, but it's still an interior defensive line position as opposed to an edge position. That's what matters. Also going to give him a better number. 91 seems good for him. Anyways, as I'm going to go through and change some equipment as well, I just want to say, anyway, since he's much more of a pass rusher than Murray, the other defensive tackle on this team, he is also going to be the number one, like, pass rushing defensive tackle. We're going to get into the preseason games in just a few minutes here, but you'll see he will move all over the line. So he's going to get a lot of different looks, which I think will be really fun. And more to the point, like, there are generational defensive tackle templates, I think, but I don't think they're very common compared to other positions. Of course, now I've said that we're going to get one like next year or something. But at every other position where I thought this guy might be good enough to focus on, it's just, I couldn't help but thinking there's going to be better ones in other years. I mean, we had what was supposed to be a stacked wide receiver class. It really wasn't. Two of the best guys in terms of overall didn't even have hidden dev. It was also supposed to be stacked at corner. It wasn't. The previous year, there was a guy who was like an 80, and he's actually on this Broncos team, so we'll get to see him along with 99 overall Patrick Surtain. So to me in this series, if we're going to have a less interesting draft year and just take a guy who's high overall, but not particularly interesting, at least in terms of his individual ratings at the start of the season or his position, we can just go through the season really fast. I think there's a good chance that I can go through it in like 3, maybe slightly long episodes. So at left end, Lamb is still going to be a 77 power rusher. Run stopper drops to 75. Depending on how he develops, I might move him back to defensive tackle when we're done, or keep an eye out and see if he ends up on a 4-3 team, because in that case, he definitely ought to be a defensive tackle. The Broncos roster is in an interesting place. They've got a second-year quarterback. He was pretty good last year, 30 touchdowns, 13 picks, lots of yards. Very good for the third pick in the second round, although there were a lot of passing yards across the league last year. He is, at the moment, very much a scrambler, which is going to probably affect his total output. Good arm, great speed, very athletic, just not super accurate or particularly good at the rest of the intangible stuff except for throwing on the run. Javonte Williams, really good. Great receiving core. Tevin Leak looks like a beast, and he's their 5th best guy, so lots for Rosenberg to work with. Pretty good tight end as well. Starters on the offensive line look pretty good. You will notice there's a lot of holes in the depth on this roster. I tried a whole bunch of things during the preseason to try and force the CPU to fix it, and they never did anything, so I ended up going in and fixing it myself after preseason. Anyways, this defensive line is a pretty good unit, not amazing, but if Lamb can play like he is in the 80s, then it'll be really good with him next to Murray and Draymond Jones. The linebacking core, unfortunately, is not great. Parker Finley, another young super athlete at the position. Another good reason to not go with that guy that I already forgot his name, honestly. Patrick Surtain, 99. Terrell Posey, a number 3 overall pick, up to an 84, a superstar. Of course, kind of hard to look at the stats for a corner. Got a lot of tackles, a TFL, and an interception last year. Doesn't really tell me a whole lot. And then they've got one like replacement level guy behind him. We'll fix that eventually. Simmons is still here. I did move him to strong safety later so that the rookie Wiley can start. Simmons is a better scheme fit at strong safety anyways. Before we go through the preseason games, I almost forgot to look at the Broncos draft recap. You can ignore the morale changes, of course. A very good class even outside of Lamb. Hidden dev safety, hidden dev running back as well, although he's not particularly well balanced. He's very fast. Not a great option on pass downs, though. Probably not going to actually do much just because Madden is weird about running backs. They had a guard in the 4th round who isn't very interesting. He's alright, 331 pounds. A hidden dev blocking tight end, always fun. Nothing really special with these last couple of picks. Do note that I had to go back to an old save, and this is still being the Jets, so it's their scheme showing, not the Broncos. Let's get into this first preseason game, though. I am going to get through these really fast. Playing the Rams, up 3-0 early. This is the first play, and I got straight through, and I was so surprised I couldn't even get the sack. Not going to bother to look too closely at these rosters for the preseason. That's a William Kruger wearing 20 at quarterback. He's a 3rd-year player, 77 overall. Lamb gets through again, but not in time to make a play. It'll be 3rd down. Skipping ahead, definitely not showing every play. Rams are driving right now. Lamb on the edge right now. Not entirely sure what formation this is that he's out there like that. Not getting a block shed, but he does end up making the tackle. That is his first. I'm not that familiar with the 3-4 playbook in Madden. I'm mostly just picking whatever man coverage play comes up in coach suggestions because that's what we're strongest at. Lamb getting right through again, but the pass is out quickly and it's first down. Rams up to the 25. Lamb gets through again here, but got fooled by the play action and did not have the athleticism to rush the quarterback at all. First down at the 11 now for the Rams. Lamb off the edge, nobody blocks him, and he's going to lay a big hit on Allridge. Unfortunately, I don't think that counted as a tackle for loss, and also it says he only has one tackle, so I think it didn't count the earlier one, and that's not a good defensive play. This will be the last play of Lamb's first rookie preseason game, and we're looking for a goal line stop, essentially. Good pass blocking here. Kruger was about to run into us, but we couldn't get off. It'll be a throwaway, though, and they'll kick the field goal. We end up losing this one 27-20. Looks like it was actually a pretty entertaining preseason game, but whatever, we don't care. Not even going to bother looking at the stats. Game 2, we're playing the Cowboys. If you remember from the first season we did, this offense is stacked. It remains stacked. They just paid 2 running backs and drafted one highly as well. Derrick Henry running all over us. We're getting double teamed. It's not going to be a fun time. Part of what might be difficult here is we're not really playing the game the way it's meant to be played. We're going to run out of these pass rushing points quickly. It's not really designed for going up against multiple linemen in one play, and being on the interior, we're often going to do what we just did there, which is get off of one guy and run right into another block, especially with the suctionness of Madden. I also need to kind of preserve those pass rushing points, which in my opinion they're kind of stupid, but oh well. It made more sense to limit them when they were new and like totally overpowered. Less so now, but this Cowboys offense is dominating us. I think this defense is actually only an 81 overall, and Henry gets into the end zone. That first drive made me question what settings we should be on. Our offense isn't doing anything yet. We're onto the second drive here. Lamb is not getting double teamed this time, and he gets right through, so maybe that's all I need. Doesn't help that this offense is stacked everywhere, including the line. We have been getting double teamed a lot though. I don't like how much we were pushed back there, but got the block shed in the tackle. It'll be third down. Well, as you can see, they got that third down and a lot more yards. These resistance things are also going to be a pain on the linemen, and that's a touchdown. Once I learn this playbook a little better, I will try and call the plays that move Lamb around a little more so we get some different matchups, get away from those blocker resistances. He is going to get through here, does not quite get the sack, but forces an incompletion. That's really what I want to see from Lamb. He's not going to be a great run stopper year one, and I just think on this difficulty and with his lack of speed, it's going to be hard to get to the quarterback when we get through, but if he can cause disruption on the interior, that's something that is really hard to deal with. The stat sheet doesn't need to be stuffed to be a good, effective player. Of course, the double teams hurt. I don't know how to deal with that. Really nice catch, and it's a first down. I did decide to try a little player lock, but I don't really like playing defense from this angle. I'm just not used to it. Plus, like on this play, we almost get out of frame on the left side, and the ball's out of frame on the right side. We're not looking at anything on the camera. 3rd and 15 after the Broncos do get a sack. We're getting double teamed again, and they're going to get very close to the first down, but 13 yards on 4th and 15 is not enough. Cowboys are going for it. We won the block shed and then just ran into somebody else. We don't know what to do about that. I think it's just going to be part of the game. It's part of the real game too, I guess. The Broncos actually scored. We have a couple of incompletions right away on this Cowboys drive. Lamb hasn't done anything to cause that. Now he's going to get through. This one will be caught, but they won't get a first down. Good play from Lamb, even though it's the only one that they got yards on. You force that quick throw, and now they can't get to the sticks. Of course, we end up turning it over on downs. I think that might be the second time today. Lamb is going to get through here, and I don't know how to run straight. I'll try and figure that out before the regular season. Getting a new matchup on the left side now. Lamb gets right through easily. Dak doesn't feel the pressure at all, and has a good throw as a result. I wanted to lay the hit, but the game didn't let me. Cowboys ended up taking a sack on the next play. They took their timeout, but now it's 3rd and 13, and they've got none left. Only 15 seconds. They're going to run it. Henry's going to pick up a bundle, and they're going to have no time left to do anything with it. Well, look at that. We might be able to come back in this thing. And we're sacked, and the clock runs out. All right. Last game of preseason is going to be against the Cardinals. I accidentally took the opening kickoff instead of simming, so I thought, let's see how Rosenberg is. How does he compare to Hargrove? does not feel as good as Hargrove. That was kind of a drop. Not a lot of zip on the ball, though. Gonna try some read option with him. Gonna keep it, and I've seen this bug a couple of times where they're really slow on read option, but then he fumbles it because he's a Madden quarterback. So I guess we're gonna see Eric Lamb here. This offense is certainly nowhere near the Cowboys. Lamb gets right through, but I have a debilitating hit stick addition and failed to make the play. We still get a TFL though. It is possible that was just some brain lag and I was still trying to do a pass rush move or something and it, interpreted as a hit stick. We get through again. Kyler gets the ball away and we're just barely going to get the third down stop. Almost got away from that tackle. Cardinals missed a field goal, so the Broncos got it back basically where they lost it and they got a touchdown out of it. Got a good rip move here, but somehow re-engaged despite winning. That's kind of annoying, but Justin Simmons is unblocked. Gets a sack. 2nd and 19, a huge loss on first down. And we ended up kind of getting soaked up into the garbage in the middle here. Won the engagement twice and still couldn't really get through. And it's almost picked. 3rd and 19. We're through right away. Kyler's going to bail. That's going to let Ojabo disengage. I don't know where Kyler's going. It's a loss of 21. And it's going to be 4th and 40. That's what I'm talking about, though. If we can disrupt in the interior, that can create sacks and other negative plays, even if we're not actually getting those numbers for Lamb. Broncos punt. It's 3rd and 9 now for the Cardinals. Lamb right through. I don't know what that stutter step is. A little stumble, and he's so slow anyways. I don't think he would have gotten there. Laying out. There's a face mask on the play. That was really negative for this defense. Probably should have been calling plays with spies. The game's actually yelling at me about it right now, which is kind of funny. 2nd and 10 now. Looks like a run play, and it's saying that we shed, but we didn't shed. I don't really understand why it's green if you didn't actually win. Just that sometimes with pass rushing too. I don't know, man. I'll have to look that up. Anyways, it's going to be 3rd and 11 now at around midfield. Lamb quickly wins the rep, tipped and intercepted. That's the middle linebacker, Finley, wearing 21 for some reason. He should really switch with the corner Posey. He was wearing like 43 or something dumb. Broncos score again at 16-0, and I believe that the quarterbacks kind of sense pressure when the pass rusher wins the rep. They don't necessarily have to even be close. So I think that's what caused him to throw it when he did. Passing lane was clogged, and it resulted in an interception. 2nd and 3, Lamb double team, but it doesn't matter this time. He almost got the sack, and that's an incompletion. Unfortunately, they converted, so it's 1st and 10 now. Lamb coming from the edge. Wins his block. Did we get the sack? No, we didn't. And this was a weird one. Unfortunately, I didn't think to look at the actual replay at the time, so I'm going to do it this janky way, and we'll just repeat it a few times. For some reason, it gave Draymond Jones a half sack, even though he's getting blocked to the ground at the end of the play. The defensive tackle, Murray, is the guy who actually made the play. He got the other half a sack. Should have been a full sack, probably. I realize the names are a little confusing here, but he didn't actually really win his rep. Lamb did, and then just kind of smushed the two Murrays into each other. That's pretty much a sack for Lamb. Skipping ahead, Cardinals have a 3rd down. Time ticking, they're not going to do much with it. Got a block shed eventually, but it's really hard to catch up with Lamb, unfortunately. He's not going to make a lot of downfield plays. 2nd and 6 now, we're into the 3rd quarter. Lamb's going to get another pass rush win, and Kyler felt it coming. Wasn't really coming that quickly, but it did affect the throw. Ended up being a good throw as it was. But that is a good rep for Lamb. 3rd down, and I think we're unfortunately getting stonewalled here. The resistance bars really don't make sense to me. Like, it should be resistance to one side, not to both at the same time. I don't really get what it's supposed to represent, because the type of pass rush move you do doesn't seem to have an effect. Cardinals are really driving for the first time. Got a block shed here, but ran into another player, couldn't make the play. They only get a couple though. 2nd and 8, Lamb coming right through, but Hollywood Brown is wide open right away on our number 3 corner. Rest assured, Patrick Surtain will not be starting in the slot in the regular season. The CPU is kind of dumb. Running on 1st and goal, we get a block shed, and I don't know why I dove. I guess I thought it was pointed a different direction, but this is the drive where I think I figured out don't use the block shedding so much, just kind of wait for the running back to get near you, because if we get through, which we do here actually, we're not going to get a tackle unless we're right next to him anyways, because we're not fast enough. 3rd and goal, I think I misread the personnel. We're going to have our middle linebacker on Hollywood Brown, and that's not going to work well for us. To make matters worse, Rosenberg turned it over immediately, so this game is not going in a good direction right now. Getting stonewalled as well, but they're not going to quite get into the end zone, so that's something. 2nd and goal from the 2. Singletary gets it, and he's going to run right into the loving embrace of Eric Lamb. I think I'm starting to figure out the run defense. Gotta be honest, this is kind of a slick little animation. Not bad. They pitched it out on 3rd down, couldn't get in. Now they're pitching it the other way. Got off our block. We're getting out there in case we need to clean up, but it's a good tackle and a 4th down stop. That's the end of Lamb's day, and we do end up winning. I kind of thought we were going to blow it, but we didn't. I've simmed ahead to week 1. I was looking at the transaction log, and Javon Kitchen got signed from somebody's practice squad to the Ravens. What are you doing, Jets? They did put him on the practice squad. Why would you do that, man? You really value Alec Pierce over him? Come on. Hurts my soul, man. Anyways, I did need to go and fix the roster. I'm not going to show most of this, but I did pick up Caleb Farley. I wasn't trying to, cheese it and get a ton of really good players, but he's a man-to-man corner. Made a lot of sense. And I'd kind of forgotten that Poole, or whoever the 3rd corner, was only a 74. I thought that Farley would be like a 4th corner, but he is actually going to start for us, at least when we're in the nickel. Not a lot of other notable signings. I did sign a left tackle named Mason Dixon off the Bucks practice squad, because what a perfect name. Mason Dixie line. Get it? Yeah, anyways. Very last thing for this video. I know it's going to be a long one. We're going to quick look at the preseason stats. Not a lot to look at here, of course. 3 solo tackles, 3 assisted, 6 total, no TFLs, although we were close on 1, no sacks, although we were close on a few. But the thing I wanted to point out, because I personally didn't feel like I was getting all that many tackles, I went and I looked at guys listed on the defensive line last year on Pro Football Reference. Lamb played 6 quarters in preseason, got 6 total tackles. I don't really care about solo and assists because I think Madden doesn't track those very well. I mean, there was 1 solo tackle that he got that I don't think it even counted in the first game at all. Draymond Jones was credited with half a sack for getting blocked to the ground. Anyways, the defensive line leader for combined tackles was Christian Wilkins with 98. Max Crosby, who's by far the highest defensive end on the list with 89. 74 for Cam Hayward and DeForest Buckner. 70 for Grover Stewart and Zach Sealer, a Colt and a Dolphin respectively. So a lot of tackles for those 2 defensive lines. And 68 for Dexter Lawrence and BJ Hill. 68 is on a full season of 1 per quarter. Lawrence and Hill actually each only played 16 games, so it's not quite perfect. But the point is, if you're a defensive lineman averaging a tackle per quarter for a whole season, then you're in the top 10 for tackles at your position group. Of course, hopefully we'll see some actual tackles for loss and sacks. I do think those will come. He definitely had a couple of chances at sacks that I screwed up, so I'll try and get better. Probably not going to have a Hargrove type season, but I do think it will be fun. We'll probably go through it quick, maybe scout a little bit more depending on what I'm seeing. We're definitely not going to have another winning the Super Bowl season. This team is not up for that. And I think using the defense all season, where I'm only playing as an interior defensive lineman and then simming the offense with a quarterback that's not very accurate, I don't think we're going to be a super successful team, but I think it'll be fun. Certainly different from last year. And we'll get through this year much quicker for sure. But let's not look too far ahead. I'm going to stop rambling because this is already a real long video. Who knows, maybe I'll split it into 2, in which case this outro will sound a little silly. Whatever the case, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy where this series is going. If you haven't already liked the video or subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate it. It does really help. I'm certainly having fun by myself, but in the future, if we've got some more interaction going on, I definitely do a video like this in 2 parts and wait to actually choose a player until there's some input from the community. Don't really have that yet, and that's okay. But I'll see you next time when we start the regular season. Have a good one.